Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Asia, and today I am doing something a little bit different. I am touching on a murder mystery. Okay, let's get right into it. So this probably affects most people because it is a little girl that was affected in this making of this video. Nobody was affected in the making of the video, but the story that I'm telling, of course, the little girl was indeed affected. So if you don't like hearing about kids or younger kids being murdered, or kids in general or younger people, then this video will not suit your interests. Okay, let's jump right into it. Today I am speaking on a case about a little 7-year-old girl named Mariah Elizabeth Ridulph, or Ridulph, however you want to pronounce it. She lives in Sycamore, Illinois. Her mother name is Frances and her father name is Michael. Her mother is a homemaker and her father worked at one of the leaf factories that they had in Sycamore at the time. So some characteristics to describe Mariah: she was a good student, she had perfect attendance, she didn't miss a day of school. When she would become nervous, she'll get hysterical, and her mother said, and I quote, "You would probably have to kill her to keep her quiet." Not sure why she used the choice of words, but she did. So her mother was like, she was the only one that can actually calm Mariah down from whatever she was going through. So we're just gonna jump right into the story. Oh, I forgot, she had a brother and 2 sisters. She was the youngest out of 2 sisters and a brother. I think the brother was the oldest. It was December 3rd, 1957, and her family was eating dinner, and she asked her mom, can she go outside to play, because it was snowing. You know, kids, they love the snow, they really do. They will play in the snow for hours. So she asked her mom, can she go out and can she play in the snow, and her mother of course told her yes she can. But she wasn't going outside alone. No, she was going outside with her best friend named Kathy. So when she went outside, her best friend Kathy, they were playing a game. I'm not sure if they invented it or it was already a game back in the 1950s, but it was called Duck the Cars. The principle of the game was to duck the headlights. Any passing car that was coming down the street, their task was to duck the headlights, until this man got out of his car and approached Mariah and Katie. I meant not Katie, Kathy. Sorry. So when he got out the car, approached Mariah and Kathy, he asked them, do you like piggyback rides and dolls? And she was like, yeah, I like dolls. Mariah was like, yeah, I like dolls. She was a doll person. So she ran inside to go get her doll to show to Johnny. He described himself as, his name was Johnny. He was 24 years old and he had a wife. He was married, which wasn't true, but you know, why would a kid question an adult and be like, are you married? Are you really? Is your name really Johnny? You know, things as that such. So as she ran inside to get the doll, she came back and she was showing her doll to Johnny, and you know, they were having fun. But Kathy, I guess she got a little cold and she ran inside to go get her mittens, because you know, she's 7 years old, kids get cold. So when she ran inside to go get her mittens, when she returned, her best friend and Johnny were gone. She immediately ran inside and told Mariah's mom, Frances, and her dad, Michael, that Mariah was indeed gone. But they didn't really think anything of it, because they thought that she was just, you know, hiding, playing hide and go seek or whatever, because you know, they were outside playing. So she thought that they was playing hide and go seek. She thought that it was a game, but indeed it was not. So she told the brother, his name was Charles, I believe, I'm pretty sure, and he told Charles to go outside and check to see if they saw Mariah, and he didn't. So they called the police. and they started a search party. They couldn't find anything. They literally called anybody they could think of. Literally, they called everybody. So when nobody could find her, that's when he put Kathy in custody. They put her in protective custody, which means that the police are watching over her to make sure that Johnny doesn't come back and try to harm Kathy. They put her in protective custody. They had lined up these men to see if she could identify Johnny. But by this time, Johnny was probably already across state lines with Mariah, and they probably were long gone. Johnny wasn't about to have no lineup. What? No, he's gone. What? And then especially since Sycamore, Illinois isn't really that big of a city, he definitely was gone. They identified this man. His name was Thomas. So they thought that he could be, Johnny, but he wasn't Johnny because, first of all, he had an alibi around the time that Mariah went missing. He was in jail for kidnapping himself, so it couldn't have been him. And he was 17 years older, so he didn't even have like the same like facial features, the same hair or anything. Kathy described Johnny as tall, slender. He had on a colorful shirt. He had like a slim chin. He had a gap in his teeth, and his hair was light and bushy. It was either light and bushy or light and wavy. But this man, he didn't have any of those features. His hair was dark, blonde, and bushy. So it wasn't... Yeah, so Johnny's hair was light and wavy, and his hair was dark and bushy. So it wasn't the same man at all. So then when he went back and he asked Kathy, did she remember picking Thomas out? She was like, she doesn't remember picking Thomas out. She never even saw this man before. She doesn't remember. So they let him go, and of course it was not him. So they moved on. So then after they moved on, Mariah's disappearance started to air on the news, TV. They started begging the person who took Kathy to please return her back safely. At the time, Dwight D. Eisenhower was the president. He even helped. It's just, it was a small town, so everybody knew everybody. Johnny was actually their neighbor, so I'm not sure how nobody knew this man or nobody saw him or whatever, but I guess it doesn't matter at this point. So we're going to fast forward a year, April 26, 1958, in Woodbine, Illinois. It was like 100 miles from Sycamore, Illinois. About 100 miles. It's not long, but it was kind of long, I guess. So then this couple passed by, and they say that they were looking for mushrooms. I guess they were a healthy couple. They wanted to cook something with mushrooms, I guess. So they were looking for mushrooms, and as they passed the wooded area that they were in, they saw the remains of a little girl. And the only thing that she had on was 2 shirts. I think it was an undershirt, a regular shirt, and some socks. So that was the only thing that was missing. And it was really cold, so I'm pretty sure when she got abducted, she had on coats and boots and all kind of things, But the only thing that was left on her was the shirt and these socks. So they say that her body probably was there for quite a minute because her body was in fact decomposed. So they couldn't really, tell like who it was or like where her body came from, because she was so decomposed they had to take her teeth and her hair out and do the forensic that way. They found out that the cause of her death was stab wounds to the neck. Poor baby. I feel like the reason why he probably stabbed her in the neck is because her mother, in fact, did say that she was a screamer. So he probably just couldn't take her screaming anymore. She probably was like, take me home, take me home. And he just didn't take her home. So she kept screaming and screaming, and he just stabbed her. Sick, right? I think like plenty of time had passed, you know, plenty of time. They actually closed the case around this time. They closed it and they reopened it back in 2008. This is where it gets interesting, when they reopened the case again. Now, Johnny's real name was John, what was his name? John Tesser. That was his name. John Tesser had half sisters, so those sisters suspected him, you know, from the jump. Nobody actually, you know, believed that he didn't do it. They thought that he did it from the jump. Not sure why they would just pick Johnny out of everybody in a town. That tells you something. But yeah, they suspected him from the jump. At the time, his mother did have cancer. His mother, her name was Aline Tesser. She had cancer. She was at the time taking morphine for her cancer. You know, she was basically on deathbed, they say. Cause around the time, you know when something happens and the police and stuff, they go around asking people, you know, what did they see, and did you see anyone out here? His mother testified and said that Johnny was in fact home the whole night. So that's why he was cleared back in 1957, because his mother said that he was home. But later on in the story, you will figure out that he in fact was not at home. That's why, I don't know, I gotta get you guys' take on this, because I feel like he did do it, but everybody making it seem like he didn't. But I have a good feeling that he did. So while he was on deathbed or whatever, well, while she was on deathbed, his mother, she was like, those, and I quote, open quote, she said, those two girls and the one that disappeared, John did it, you have to tell someone, end quote. So Janet took that and she ran with that for 14 years. Hold on, let me cut my crease. So Janet heard from her other sisters. They were Catherine, and so she heard from Catherine and Janae that Eileen, in fact, indeed, lied about him being home that night. So they lied about she lied about him being home that night. So that clearly tells you something. Why lie if he innocent, right? He could just tell you where he at, no problem, right? So later she testified that she only heard her mother say that he did it. Like, who did it? Like, who did it? Was it John or was it not? No one knows. So by 2008, John already changed his name to Jack McLeod. So I don't know why change your name if you're innocent. You know, why do all of this if you're innocent? I do not understand. So since nobody was listening to the lady's testimony, or nobody actually wanted to listen to her, she started bringing up the past. She started saying that John threatened her with a gun once. He molested her. Janet said that John molested her when she was a minor. And I think that Catherine had also said the same thing, that Jack was molesting them, when they were younger. So when Eileen, their mother, was about to die, she was like, don't come to my funeral, or don't come to mom's funeral, you're not welcome. No one wants you here, you're crazy. So that happened. Everybody already suspected John, everybody. So it was like that, since people knew John and knew Eileen Tesser, they dropped the charges. Well, it wasn't any charges from the beginning, but they didn't look further into John because, they knew his mom, they knew Eileen, and they didn't suspect anything of it, so they just let it go. So, Janet, it's so many sisters I can't keep up. Janet is the main one though. So Janet told the people, the police and stuff, to check Jack's alibi. His name is Jack now. It was like, check Jack's alibi, check his background and things of that nature. So they tried to do so, but it wasn't like they were lying about anything, because as people were like, bringing up their stories of what John, I'm gonna call him John because that was his name in the beginning, since everybody came forward and said that John actually tried multiple attempts of this. They said that he actually tried to give one woman a piggyback ride one day. I don't think that she was a woman at the time. She's a woman now, but he tried to give her a piggyback ride, and she was just like, put me down, I don't want a piggyback ride anymore, please put me down. He did not put her down. He did not want to. The dad actually had to come outside and tell him to put his daughter down. When they heard that, they actually changed the timeline and said that Jack actually could have kidnapped her around 6:20, because when they were outside it was around 6 o'clock, 6:30. But the witnesses say that they didn't even see John at all. So I say the time frame, it could have been like 6:45ish, 7 o'clock, because one of John's sisters went to a party that night and he came back around 7 and he was already gone and they were already searching. So I say about 6:45, and they just like started the search. Okay, so that's when they call Kathy back in. Remember Kathy? Kathy was the bestie. Kathy was out there when Mariah was taken. They called her back in to identify Mormon. They lined up Mormon. They tried to identify them, but they actually couldn't get a good description off from Kathy. So they went into the yearbooks of when he was in high school, but of course he was expelled. He never got to take a picture. What a coincidence, right? So he never got to take the picture and put it in the yearbook because he was expelled. So they had to do plan B. Plan B was to call his former girlfriend up and tell her, ask her, do she have any pictures of Johnny? Do she have anything that we can go off of? And they say that the picture that the girlfriend gave them, it was actually quite different from what they thought he looked like. So I guess it was different in a way, they thought what he would wear, he wasn't wearing it in the picture. But when you think you know somebody, so when she gave them the picture, she also gave them a unissued military train ticket that was not used. So his plan was to catch a train that night that Mariah was abducted, but he didn't catch a train. He didn't end up using a ticket at all. He actually drove to wherever he was going. He didn't end up using the ticket. So when they figured out, like, they did backgrounds and stuff, and it was like, well, if he didn't use the ticket, then, you know, what happened? So they had dropped the charges back in 1957, because like I said, they knew the family. They really didn't suspect like anything, you know, of it. So he could have drove to Sycamore, you know, and he could have kidnapped Mariah and then drove back to Rockford, because that's why he was going. He was going to Rockford for whatever reason. So they said, okay, since the mother said that he was home, what was he doing, you know, in Rockford the night that Mariah was taken? So they made phone calls, started calling people, and he ended up calling one of his high school friends. So when he called one of his high school friends said that he did see John's car, you know, that night heading in that direction. Now he don't even like have to see his license plate or anything, because John had like a unique car, shall I say. It was painted, it was, you know, it was his type of car. It wasn't an ordinary car. So yeah, he did indeed see John. So once they found that out, I think it's like, what, 2011 now? I think I said that already. It's 2011 now. And they pulled Jake in for, well, his name is Jake now. Jake John, you know, all the same thing. He changed it. It's still John. We still remember you, Johnny. So when they pulled him in for questioning, you know, he came in there calm. You know, of course, he didn't want to blow his cover. He came in there calm. We started asking him questions, like, of course, they had to use professional equipment, because he was like, I guess, a champ and stuff like that, you know. So they had to use professional equipment so that he could tell the truth, you know. So they set him up to the professional equipment. They started asking him questions. At first, the questions that they asked him was, hold on, let me do my outline. So when they started asking him questions about, you know, where was he when Mariah, you know, was kidnapped, you know, because at first he was calm, he was composed. You know, he probably been through this 1,000 times, because, you know, murderers, they have tendency of being, you know, calm in eager situations, if you know what I mean. But he was calm at first when they started asking him questions, but then when he started to bring up Mariah and where her whereabouts was and where he was that night, he started to get aggressive. He started to get loud, you know. He started to do all kind of things, and they was like, well, why, you know, would you get all, you know, rotted up and stuff if in fact you did not do it, or if you wasn't there? So that said something. So they ended up arresting him, taking him in, trying to see, you know, if he did it or not. They actually held him, I think, for a little while to actually see if, you know, he did it. That same month, they examined her, Mariah's body, and it's just like they kept on examining, but they just couldn't find, you know, anything other than the stab wounds to her neck about 3 times. So she was basically stabbed to death, bled to death from her neck. But that's pretty much all they could find, because her body was so decomposed they really couldn't find anything else, basically. So it's been about 54 years around this time. It's been about that long. And it was like when they tried to find a lawyer for him or attorney, everybody was like, a lawyer, an attorney for what? It's been 54 years. Y'all just paying attention to this case. Y'all just trying to do this. They really couldn't find anybody. And the person that they did find, you know, he was like, I don't really want to take this case because it's literally so old, literally. And it's like the lack of evidence, the lack of anything, basically, was pretty much nothing. So it's September 2012 now, and at the trial he was like, I didn't, mean to kill her. I just wanted to kidnap her or whatever. He like, okay, so as far as this goes, like if he like literally fessing up to it, he's saying he didn't mean to kill her. Why would he? Anyway, I'm jumping ahead of the story. Let's wait. Okay, so as the trial went on, he was like that he wasn't trying to kill her. He was just trying to kidnap her. He probably was saying that he was going to bring her back, but whatever. It was like so many things they probably could have done different, like so many things. When he was in jail for a little while, even his inmates were talking about how he was talking about killing Mariah and all that. And a lot of people was talking about how Johnny gave them piggyback rides, and how he actually did like stuff like this, and it was just like nobody seemed to actually get it. Like I'm not understanding why, but here we have it. So it is September 14, 2012 now, and he actually was, charged for the murder of Mariah, but that didn't last long. They had petitions and stuff to like get, John a different person to represent him, because I guess they were like, the person that he had wasn't really doing a fantastic job, of course, because I think that they didn't have a lot of evidence on him. They didn't have like anything to hold against him, really, because everybody just accusing, everybody just saying, yeah, he did it, but like, where is the evidence that he actually did do it? So that's probably where their head was at the time. So John, he at first got life in prison, and he got like 20 years in. He would get like a possibility of parole, but at the time, dude, you don't need parole. You old. Like at the time he was like 73 years old. So it was like, what chance do you like literally have of parole? You're like 73. You literally don't have any chance like of parole. So they ended up doing a trial, So it was like, it was a lot going on. He actually pleaded, I don't know if he pleaded innocent or it just happened, but it was like the court, I think the court was up to something, because the court was like, basically they were letting him get away with this. Like, I'm not even sure how to put it, but they was letting him get away with this. He actually like, I'm not sure, I don't know if it was a probation type thing, but he actually was like released and they let him walk, but they was keeping an eye on him, of course, but they let him, they let him walk, but they did keep an eye. So they were coming up with all kind of stuff. The judge was saying he couldn't have certain sentences because they were run into his sentence already. The mayor and everybody was on the Ridulph's family side. Like, basically, like, I'm not really sure how to do it. Like, everybody knew that he did it. Like, I think that he did it, because it was just I don't know, it was so obvious. And I feel like they should have did better with this case, because it's like not adding up. They let him go for some time. Like I said, emotion and all this. The mayor even like signed things to try to get John a different person to put up against him, like a different lawyer. They try to get a different lawyer, and I think that the family was indeed, I would have been hurt, because it was like they wasn't trying their best. Free. They ended up letting him go. He was they let him go. He was innocent. They couldn't really find anything to really say, oh, you did it. They didn't have enough evidence. They didn't have a lot of stuff to go by. So yeah, he was innocent. It sucks, but Mariah did have a lot of people that loved her. She was only 7, so they actually in remembrance of her, they actually built something for her. I think it was a statue. I'm pretty sure they built a statue for her. They remembered it. I'm pretty sure a lot of people showed up to her funeral, because come on now, this case was sick to me. It was. I feel like they could have did way better. It was just a mess, and I'm not feeling this case at all. It was a mess. But he is free. But how free can he really be? He was already like 70. So he couldn't really be that free. But I guess call it free if you're not in jail, right? But that's pretty much it for the story. It wasn't really like, the trial lasted like 50 something years, probably more than that, but it lasted about 50 something years. So all that time, I feel like all that time that they took not doing anything, trying to figure out the cause of her death, they should have been, since they didn't think that it was John, they should have been trying to figure out who. If it ain't John, then who is it? You know? I don't know what to say about this case. I want you guys to let me know what you guys think about the case. You know, I wasn't feeling it. I'm already doing my makeup, so I might as well finish. I thought I was going to be talking through my whole makeup look, but of course I was not. So I'm going to finish this up really quickly. Pretty much all I have for you guys today. I am going to be posting every Tuesday. If you guys are interested, sometimes I might just be doing my makeup, and sometimes I might be doing murder stories like I did today. But that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys think that he did it. Let me know what are your thoughts. Have a great day, and I hope you come back next week.